situation that he had to fight in. Either he used a different guard, or he fought against a different kind of attack, or in one instance the person was holding him by the shirt. Fiore's sword section is a bit different from that, in that first of all he shows the posture, the guards, like in the dagger section, and he describes what those guards can do. Now, you can sort of divide the sword section into two parts. You can divide it into what he describes in the posture section, which describes some counter-cutting and some real basics of sword play. And then the main part of what you see in the pictures is the second part of the sword section, which is what happens when swords cross. Now within the crossed swords, the incrusada section, there's two types of crossed swords. This is for two types of swords. There's, if someone would, Dave, if you'd like to. There's what he calls Gioco Largo. Is that, yeah? Where the sword is on the same side as the lead foot. What that allows Fiore to do is when he does whatever he's going to do next, over there, albeit over there, he covers a large distance with one step. But at the same time, he's staying in quite a narrow lane here. And Gioco Largo means narrow lane. The other type of footwork is the same again, is Gioco Stretto footwork. What that allows for is a big expansion into my opponent. So if I want, I can roll close into him there. I couldn't have done that very easily in the Largo footwork because I don't cover enough distance towards him. But I can cover more distance, traversing off to the side, debatably, than that. But it's a different kind of movement because this one I'm moving the back foot, and this one I'm moving what's going to become the lead foot. In the Gioco Largo section, Fiore deals with distance play. So to stay in distance, he does do some closing things, but generally it's more distance play. When he moves into Gioco Largo, he moves into much more grappling with the opponent, going into half sword, trying to wrestle with him and so on. Right, Fiore's one-handed sword section, which comes before the two-handed sword section, is kind of a connection between the dagger section and the two-handed sword section. Mezzana, Dura, Soprano, and Liberi. And he also uses very similar footwork to that used in the dagger section. Lots of traversing, deflecting off to the side, and he also passes through with a cover, which some people say is a bit like Silver's True Blood, but it's not quite the same. So we're going to have a look at that now. We're going to start with one-handed sword and try and discuss the footwork. Before we do that, I'll just read you what Fiore says at the beginning of the sword section. He says, he says, with a picture of a sword, he says, "I am the sword, mortal against any weapon. No spear, no axe, no dagger are effective against me," he claimed. "No long or short weapon can do anything against me. And I go closer and enter in Gioco Stretto. And I will disarm and enter in close combat," in other words, wrestling. "With my art, I can do breaks, binds, and I also want to do covers and injury. I will make those who fight against me. And I'm loyal and maintain justice." It's interesting. "And I increase goodness and destroy malice. Those who look at me doing this art, I will let him know about fighting and about tennis." Here starts the fight with two-handed sword. So that's the beginning of the two-handed sword section. That obviously applies to the one-handed sword as well. Okay. Would you like to pick up a one-handed sword and stand up? Okay, so basic footwork. You don't need to do anything with the sword at the moment. Fiore does three named footworks of swords, and a special move with three named footwork within the sword system. But he also does other footwork which he doesn't name. But the three main ones are volta stabile, which basically means if I'm going to attack, I simply do that. It's debatable whether he moves back foot first and then the front foot, or the front first and the front foot first and then the back one. We don't know. But all it is maintaining position and moving forward, moving back, as in fencing. Like that, like that. And that's volta stabile. Next is mezza volta, which means half turn. Now, what Fiore tells us about volta stabile is when fighting in volta stabile, I can fight on the front, and the side, and the back, on this side, but I can't fight over there. So he calls this, so I've got half a circle, and he calls this mezza volta. It's just a simple pass. And now I can fight on all of this side, and the front, and the back. So that one pass, I cover half a circle, then half a circle again. Yeah. Now he has, if you just want to try that, so if you just go into there, just practice attacking, laying some cuts out, then pass, cutting on the other side. Just practice going forwards and backwards with that, while keeping the sword, giving cuts. You want your hips to be keeping the same distance to the ground. So when you pass forward keeping your groin and your hips at the same level. Try not to bob up and down, okay, or jig around too much. It's sliding movement, like you're on skis. And always make sure your lead foot is toe pointing forward. Never off to the sides. Partly because it helps you get power into your attack, and partly because you can injure your leg if you're fighting and it twists, either way. There's 7 blows of sword, which there's actually more, but they subdivide. The 7 basic blows of sword. Okay? We've got fendente, which are downwards. I'll tell you what he says about that in a minute. Fendente, okay. Mezzani, yeah, and sottani. This is with one-handed sword. With two-handed sword, they're different. You don't have to change sword if you just hold what you're holding here. Okay? Fendente are the same with two-handed sword. Yeah? But the difference is it's tied to your feet. So with two-handed sword, you always step on the side that you're cutting from. So it's fendente, then fendente with a mezza volta. Okay? The mezzani is slightly different. Again, stepping with the side you're cutting from. So this time with the true edge. Okay? But coming from the left is with the false edge. Okay? And sottani are with the false edge up, stepping, and false edge again. So the difference that myself and Bob Charon is that in one-handed sword, all the cuts are done with the true edge, whichever direction it's from. With the two-handed sword, this, and that are with the back edge. And then the 7th blow of sword, which is punti. Now, punti subdivide yet again. We've got Thrust in the middle line, any height. Fiore shows a line going up from the guy's bollocks up through his face, and he says that middle line thrust, which is Porta di Fellow Mezzana, I'll explain these later, Posta Breve and Posta Longa. Thrust in the middle line, anywhere up that line of the middle of the person. So if you just want to stand, right leg forward, okay? Lay a thrust in at the forehead, right? With a volta stabile step. So, thrust. Okay, now to the middle, thrust. Okay, and now the groin, thrust. Now moving backwards, head, middle, groin. Good. There are 4 other thrusts. There's 2 ways to interpret what he says. He says there's 2 high on either side and 2 low on either side. The way it translates, it could mean that there are thrusts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Or it could mean, it ends up being the same thing, but it could mean that he means 2 high with the sword upwards. So 1, 2, and from the sword from below, 1, 2. There's no way to tell. He just says low and high. And it's impossible to tell whether he means the sword high, or whether he means high on the person, on the target. But the result is the same, because either way you interpret it, you've still got these 4 openings, as in the German longsword system, and you can do it with the sword up from window, or one-handed sword window, or from below. And I suggest you can go to any of those 4 openings from any of those positions. So you could go from window down to that opening. Right, I'll just read you what Fiore says about these cuts, the Satani, the Mezzani, and the Fendente. Right, Fendente, it says, we are colpi fendente, which means blows that bite. Fendente in Italian means a word, you can't translate it into English, it means to bite through something or to shear through something. And in the art, that function is to cut the teeth and go to the knee with reasoning. Now, what we've realised through working with the source is, he goes, okay, from the teeth to the knee, it's that line. But he also says that this can strike anywhere on the body as well. So what we think is that while that is the line of the Fendente, it doesn't literally have to hit at head height. You could aim at a person's midriff and go down something like that. But it's always a downwards blow in that kind of plane. So mainly, not 45 degrees, more steep than 45 degrees. And every low guard which is done, we go from one guard to the other without trouble. Right, what he means by saying that, which we realise from reading about boar's tooth guard later, is what he means is every low guard, whether it's boar's tooth or Porta di Fellow Mezzana, when they go up, Porta di Fellow Mezzana cuts up, boar's tooth thrusts up, they return to guard always with the Fendente. So if someone cuts at me and I go up with the thrust, I rebat their blade, I immediately return down with the Fendente through their arms or through the head, both. So the Fendente is always the returning path back to a low guard. That's what those words mean. And we will break the guards with intelligence. With the blows we will make a blood sign. We Fendente will not wait to injure, quick, aggressive. We return in guard at every movement, which is repeating what we said. Also, if you're in a high guard, it doesn't say this, but if you're in a high guard and use Fendente, you return with a Satani. It's just the same thing back. Right, the satani, the upwards class. Satani means under or low. That's quite obvious. And we start from the knee and go until the centre of the forehead. It's an interesting thing because why does he say Pendente starts at the teeth and go to the knee, and then say that Satani return by the same path, go from the knee to the forehead? Why that slight change in angle, I don't know, but there we go. And again, it's the same thing. That Satani can enter anywhere on the human target. It can enter up through their arms, up through their knee, up through their side, up through their head, take the edge of the head off. And in that path we climb, by that road we return. Again, he's repeating what he's saying. The low guards go up, Satani, return Pendente. The Pendente and the Satani are twin blows. Or will remain in Posta Longa. Posta Longa is that. So what he's saying is, if I want to do Satani, I don't have to go up and return with the Pendente. I can go up and remain longer. So he's clearly saying that there's two ways to come. One way to follow through and return, one way to go up and stop. At which point you would assume maybe there's some opposition, maybe the person's rebatted you off to the side slightly, so you stay in Posta Longa and then thrust behind it. So if you get stopped, immediately thrust. And we'll see that in a minute. And finally the Mezzani. And we are called colpi mezzani because we go in the middle of colpi soprani, that means high bows, and soprani, upwards bows, low bows. We go with the right edge to the right, and with the false edge to the left. And our path is from the knees to the head. What he means there is, if Bart, if you can stand up. That's a mezzani blow, and that's a mezzani blow. But also, that's a mezzani blow, and that's a mezzani blow. If it's moving in that path, it's moving in that path, you can strike anywhere from the head to the knees. Later we'll see, Fiore says if you go below the knees, all the person does is steps back with their lead foot and hits me in the head. So Fiore is very adamant about that. He never ever hits below the knee. He says it's dangerous to do so with swords. Interesting that he says it about swords and not about any other one. So presumably he considers it is a possibility with spear, with poleaxe. I don't know. Then again, with poleaxe he only does it in armour. So maybe he doesn't think about hitting that part of the legs in armour. I don't know. Okay, we'll do some cutting and move backwards and forwards with the footwork, and then I'll show you the third footwork. Okay. Can you get two-handed swords for this? Your one-handers with you or nearby, or you're going to be out of it so you don't have to keep Mark, excuse me. I forgot to put, if anybody wants to trade, there's one. Right. We're going to practice the Satani and the Pendente, okay? One Satani, one Pendente. Right foot forward on the line. Okay, remember, when you're passing forward, you want your hips to stay balanced, not too much distance between your legs. If you want to increase the distance between your legs, put your back leg out, don't stretch your front leg out, okay? Fiore has a slightly, seems to have a more upright posture than Vardi. Vardi likes to sound like this sometimes, whereas Fiore more often is more like that. Don't know why. Right, okay, right leg forward. I want you to stand in what's known as dente di cinghiale, which is boar's tooth. Okay? Pommel touching your hip. It doesn't literally have to touch your hip, but next to your hip, next to that bone there. Yeah? Point at the ground. We're not going to use this guard as it's normally used, because it's normally used to thrust. We're going to cut from it. Okay? I want you to pass forward with the left foot, ending up with the same distance as you had originally, and cut up into posta frontale, which means frontal posta. Frontal pose. Okay? Point up in the air, not backwards. But point in the air. So. Okay. The reason that Fiore doesn't do that with this card, diverting off the subject here, the reason he doesn't do that is because Fiore doesn't use it like Donna. He's not threatening to do a big cut with it. What he's actually doing is threatening the whole time with a very quick counter cut. So he always wants to keep the blade there and visible so the person can see it's moving in a threat, but not in a big wide space of counter cut because he moves it. He moves it from side to side. Okay, so back into the original position. Okay? Think about your cutting with your back edge here. Think about the alignment. Some people like to put their thumb up to the side of the blade there. Think about passing that back edge through the person's side and out of their head. Okay? Look at a line in front of you, concentrate on that line, and drive through it, straight up, with the step, staying balanced. I ended up a little bit too low there. Try and stay the same height. So you slide along those tracks. Up! Then, when you finish the cut, look at your position. How do you feel? Do you feel comfortable? Do you feel you can move in any direction suddenly? Do you feel balanced? Is your toe pointing at your enemy? Yeah? Step back, relax. Okay. When I say cut, I want you to do it again, hard, and then stop, then move. Okay? Cut! Cool. Now, look at your position. How are you standing? Are you balanced? Are you pointed in the right direction? Is your toe in the right direction? Where's your sword? What's it doing? Okay. Klaus, just relax down. Yeah, not too much. Just. If you point your toe at your enemy. Yeah. Your toe is pointing inwards. Point it forward, your front toe forwards. Stop like this now. No, yeah, that's right. Okay, relax. Okay. Cut! Good. Okay, now stay in that position. Stay in that position. Sword should be straight up in the air, more or less. Okay? What we're going to do now is the same pass forward with the right foot, but this time with a fendente. Okay? Think about you're striking through a target here. Concentrate on that point in front of your eyes. True edge. Cut! Okay, now stop. Don't move. What position are you in? Observe. Feel. How do you feel? How are you balanced? Is your toe pointing in the right direction? Are you leaning too forward, too back? Adjust the position to feel comfortable. Feel a bit too low, a bit too high. Now, what's your sword doing? Are you in dente di cinghiale? Okay? The point of dente di cinghiale should be forward, not outwards. If this was a cutting costa, the point would be outwards. But it's not, it's a thrusting costa. Okay? We're just using it for that. Okay. Now moving to porti di formazione. Okay, we're just going to do a straight up, straight down now. Okay, relax. Just stay in the same position, just relax, comfortable. Okay? Cut! Still moving forward. Now what we're going to do is, without any footwork, we're just going to cut down into iron door, which is off to the side like that, okay? With the full edge pointing towards the sky, okay? Point up in the air, okay? Cut! If you notice what we did there, we came down the middle line, and we came off the side. Quite a nice thing to take sword with a cut with a satani into frontale on that side. Okay? Cut! Cool. When you come into frontale, turn your quillons out to the side there. There's several reasons for that we'll look into later. So, when you come up here, cut, and then turn it out. The reason, I might as well tell you that, the reason for that is if the thrust is coming in and you're beating it off, and you're carrying it up, you want to take the point on the quillons. And this is shown in Fiore, Liberi, and Matt Easton. And then okay, we're going to do some fast. Okay, left foot forward, frontale. I'm going to say cut when I want to cut. We're only going to go from these two, boar's tooth, frontale, and then when I say reverse, that means every time I say cut after that, we'll be moving backwards. Okay? Okay. Cut! 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 Reverse, cut! Reverse, cut! Moving forward, cut! 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 Reverse, cut! Cut! Reverse, cut! 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 Reverse, cut! 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 Reverse, cut! 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 Reverse, cut! 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 Reverse, cut! Okay, if you want to get your lines, we'll do some different cuts. Okay, now we're going to go from boar's tooth, false edge cut, mezzani, into tail guard, and from tail guard, whack, pendente, back to the false tooth. So mezzani, pendente. Mezzani, pendente. A little word on cutting. In my opinion, we can talk about this. Your foot should be landing at about the point you make contact. Yeah? That's what I try to look in front of me, and actually I'm a bit behind them. But try and think about what footwork, what step you think is putting the shearing power into the sword. Okay? So remember, boar's tooth, mezzani, pendente. Mezzani, the sword goes right behind you, still leaning forward, not leaning back, and then straight over pendente. Okay, on the yellow line. Okay, cut! Back to the yellow line. How do you find the mezzani, the false edge? Do you find it hard? No? False tooth. You should know. Dave, you should know false tooth. Right. False tooth. Fabrice, false tooth. Okay. Focus. Focus on what you're cutting. Don't look at other people, just focus on that point in front of you. Okay, cut. Should be in the tail guard now. Are you in the tail guard? On the right side of the fence, cut. 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 Reverse. Cut. Cut. Sorry, I don't. Just arm straight. That's it. That. Okay. Cut. Moving forward, cut. Cut. Reverse, cut. Cut. Cool. Okay, relax. Right, if you want to change sword for a one-handed sword, then do so. Or if you want to keep the same sword, keep it. Double-handed sword, two-handed sword a bit later. And we'll look at the guards properly and what each of the guards do. I was just trying to, that was basically a footwork exercise. Just to get you passing and thinking about stepping at the right time in relation to the cut. Now, I don't know much about myself, but the footwork in single sword seems quite a lot different to footwork in two-handed sword, in that the cut is not always tied to the foot. In Fiore's two-handed sword, you're always stepping on the side you're cutting from. That's not always the case in one-handed sword, I don't think. And also the cuts are different. Remember, it's all true edge now. Yeah? Okay. Do you stand up on your yellow lines? Right. Rather than boar's tooth, Fiore now reverses the sword that way round. Pointed backwards, and he leans backwards. Yeah. So, front foot out straight, back leg bent. Left hand in front of your crotch. Okay? And if you want, grab some of your trousers to keep your hand there. Just your trousers. Or grab something else. Okay? He does several different attacks from this position. He does pendentes, and he also does sotanis. But remember, the sotani from here is true edge up into window. And from there, you can thrust. Okay, we'll go back to that and do some drills in a bit. Just some cutting. Okay. What I'm going to do is, for the purposes of this, some of you will probably hate it, I'm going to number the cuts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah? You'll all think, no, it's like but it's just easier to do it like that for this exercise. Okay? What I want to do is start to get the feeling of when you think you should be stepping forward with the left foot. Because it's very much a matter of feeling with single hand sword, I think. Because you can cut like that, but sometimes that doesn't feel right when you want to do that. Yeah? So I'm just interested to see what most people here, this is an exercise in anthropology for me, to see what people do when they do certain cuts. Yeah? Okay. So, starting off down there, but you don't have to face backwards for this, just face forward. Okay? Give me a 1. Okay? 6. 3. 4. 5. Moving backwards. 2. 1. 4. 3. 6. 5 forwards into window. Cool. Yeah, that's okay. Unless you're just copying me, because we can do something. Right.
And all that out a little bit from the two edge, yeah?
Yeah. With one hand. We think. Right. Okay. We're going to do some backwards and forward stuff. Remember, keeping the hips, same distance to the ground, sliding forward, sliding backwards. Don't turn the body, keep the hips pointed forward. If you are going to twist the hips, it's to put the power into a cut, but then they return to true. Yeah? So, pluck, and then back. Okay. Starting off in the low wall. Fiore doesn't name this, by the way, he's just a guard. So, cut up into window. Okay? From there, thrust, equal sword high, and deliver another fendente back outside. Okay, let's go back and try and do that a bit faster. Okay? So, cut, thrust, cut. Cool. Back. Cut, thrust, cut. Cool. Now, remember I said there were 3 types of footwork, and I showed you 2. There's also something called a tutu volta. And there's a couple of different interpretations to this, but this is what we think it is. He says one foot moves around the other to any degree. So we've got volta stabile, which is that and that. Mezza volta, that and that, because you can fight on other sides. Then. And tutu volta means a complete circle turn, which I think means it moves the foot round to any angle, depending on which part of the circle you want to fight in. Yeah? So it's just a standard, and it can be the front foot or the back foot. It's just simply one foot staying where it is, the other one moving around it to any angle, as many degrees as you want. What this leads into is doing 2 tutu voltas, which of course would be that and that. Yeah? And this is footwork we see quite a lot in fencing, where someone goes out and then round. Out with the back foot, out, and follow around. Okay? Just practice that on the spot. Out and round. Remember, try and keep your hips level. And then go back to where you came, so out, around. And you should end up on the line where before. Out, around. Backward out to the side, straighten up with what we're doing. Right. Those are standard footworks. This is Fiore's special footwork, which is a bit weird. In this, and Fiore does this with single sword and two-hand sword, he steps off the line with the lead foot first, and then passes, or steps around, with the back foot. With single sword, this means that he either does that, or that, step around, to attack, or he passes through the attack by stepping out, passing through, stab, cut, whatever. So you can either move through the attack, from there, onto the close side, the side of the person's left hand, the grappling side, or you can beat his attack from the outside and move around his outside to attack him on the side of the grappling. Yeah? Right, if you pair up as partners, right. What I want one person to do is to simply deliver, if I can score it there, simply deliver a passing cut. He starts with his foot back like that, one hand. If you start with your sword in the saddle, okay. I simply want you to pass forward and do a fendente at my left shoulder. Sorry, not my right shoulder. On the foot, sorry, good one. That's right. So start from the waiting line. But yeah, start like that, and cut with my right shoulder. Okay? Do this very slowly at first. Just think about what you're doing, try and stay balanced the whole time. And his cut comes in, I step off and beat onto the top of it with my back edge. Yeah? So I turn myself, you can actually do it with your flat as well, it's just personal preference. I tend to use my back edge onto the top of his sword, back, step around, cut into his shoulder. Yeah? So I'll just do that again. Do it a bit faster. Just do it slowly, gently, thinking about the distance and the balance the whole time. The reason I think Fiore does it is if I don't do it, I end up being very close to his incoming blade. Even if I step off with my back foot, my body isn't changing position until I manage to change my other foot. So I would be facing, with his one time of the arm, his one time of cut, I would need to do 2 steps, which is very hard, maybe impossible. But I can do that. That's a very exaggerated version, but it allows me to get my arm out straight and to increase the distance from my body. At which point, I can step further around him to cut him. Now, the difference, one of the big differences between one-handed sword and two-handed sword is two-handed sword, you're constrained at the range you've got, but you've got more or less equal. It's not quite equal. You've got slightly better range on that side than you have on that side. But with one-handed sword, it's a big difference. I've got the full length of my arm and the sword, longer range than the longsword in some ways, in terms of how far away from your body you can get it, because I can reach with my left hand to hold that two-handed. But across your body, you've got rubbish range. That's why we don't see people beating so much on that side. They tend to cover and pass through. Also think about that when you're sparring against someone or even fighting for your life, should you need to. Always remember, if you just hold your sword out, if I'm over here and I pass through, there's much less he can do with his sword to reach me on this side than if I go around on this side where he can reach me all the way around. Geometry. 2 bolts with you ground. So if you just carry on practicing with that for a bit. So we're going to step off beat one time, cut, and the next time. Cut and step and the next time. Yeah? So 1, 2. When you start to feel comfortable with it, start speeding it up, doing it a bit harder. A variation on the same thing. This is a shorter motion Dave cuts to the same place. I start to do that. At which point I decide, rather than stepping around to do that, okay, I decide to step back on the line and cut him straight down. Yeah? So, I go back. And you have to get that power into that cut when you're up there, you have to step forward with the right foot to put the back into it. Yeah, it's a body. The important thing is to extend your arm out while going through that motion. Yeah? So, if you look at my sword, it's going outside my body. A lot of you are ending up like that and leaving an opening in here. So the person's blade is coming in and hitting the shoulder. So when you go out, you want to be doing that. That's why we're stepping off line, to allow you to do it. Because you're trying to contract the movement and go, knock it down there. You don't want to do that. You want to do that. So it's outside your body and safe. So bring the hilt up with the hand. Now, remember how I was saying you're stepping off the leaf hook to get your arm straight? Because the cut's coming into this side. So you might think, how do I deflect it? If I want to deflect it rather than the other, the cut comes from this side. Well, clearly I can step that way. But remembering that the distance between my sword, which is on the right side of my body, and his sword is somewhat greater. So, I can now deflect it without necessarily having to move my foot away, because I've already got a short distance, so I'm not having to scrunch up. So what we'll do now is he'll cut there, deflect it over, while then step around, and then pass through, whack, and then walk off. Behind. Yes? We do that faster. So.
practicing your footwork more. This is just a derivation of my own, stuff, mixed up in little bits of Fiore. So Dave cuts in. No, what was there? Sorry. I'm passing that same thing, pass through, cut, then I want you to pass around again, cut, and straighten up, and then back out to the front. Yeah? So, again, it goes 1, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, if you want to final one in, just back out. Yeah? So you work your way around and then whack, 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 then back out. Right, so one more time. Okay. 1, 2, 3. And then you will lay the fourth if you want to back out. Okay?
Dave, just stand in the waiting card. So, his enemy's over there. Yeah? He waits, pointed away, almost. Front foot extended out, straight, leaning back on the back first. Yeah? Sword hanging down here, hand hanging in front of his crotch where it's most useful. Doing whatever he wants to do while he waits.
Okay. Right.
Right. Could I have 3 volunteers stand up, please?
Really?
Yes. I'm recreating. I'm recreating the picture.
It's typical, you wait for one enemy, 3 enemies stand up at once.
Okay, the first person, if you stand in a straight line, one in front of the other. So, single file. That's it. Okay. The first person stands in kind of, just basically stands like that. Okay. The second person stands like that. And the third person stands like that. Like a javelin.
Can I stand like this?
And these 3 people say, we are 3 masters.
You want to kill. We have 3 players. You want to kill this master. You do. Look like you want to kill him. One has to strike him with a point, with a thrust. Yeah. And the other with a cut. And the last one wants to throw his sword at the master. So that it will be a great spectacle for him not to be killed. Right. And Dave says, ha! He says, you are bad, and you know few things about this art. You do things that have no place in words. He is Master Yoda. He says, come then, one at a time. Who can do it?
Have you already?
He said, even if you were 100, I would wound you all. Because of this guard, which is so good and so powerful. I put my forefoot a bit out of the way, either side. We don't have to do this because we're going to do this exercise next. I put my forefoot out of the way a bit, and with the left one, I pass to traverse, to cross. And doing that, I strike back the swords I find uncovered, and I will surely injure you. And if a spear or a sword is thrown towards me, I will strike them all. As I said, passing out of the way. As you will see in my plays hereafter, and we've had a little play with some sort of basic, fundamental things. I ask you to look at them, and even with a sword one-handed, I will do my art, as you'll see in these pages. A little word about the sword. I don't think Fiore is using different swords for one-handed and two-handed. I think it's the same sword, because the way we translate it, he says, even with the sword one-handed, rather than a one-handed sword. And also the swords he's using have quite a bit of handle sticking out at the end, so I think we're the same sword. You'll notice his style is quite, he throws the blade a lot. He doesn't try to be too constrained.
he assumes people assaulting him powerfully, and he's sort of whack, whack, you know. He's using the sword, using the momentum of the sword the whole time, throwing his body out, throwing it around. He's not using particularly tight movements and, you know, fighting with the sword to keep it ready. He's using the length and power of the sword. Right, okay, we've actually had a play with the first play, which was the simple beating off thing. But what we're going to do now is practice this waiting guard. And I'm going to get you all, Dave and I will cut. We'll each only do one cut. You step up, we'll have you in a line. You step up, and you just practice stepping off, sorry, the lead foot, stepping off, and then just stepping away. Don't think about doing an attack after that. All you're going to do is go beat against the cut. If it's a cut on that side, okay? Then we're going to introduce you to the stepping out and covering through to defend. And then finally, we're going to do it against the thrust, which is tricky because you need to get the timing right. You have to know how to push the foot and the hand so that the point ends up there, outside your body. Okay? So you need to do that. And then, maybe, we'll get you using the true edge to step out and beat the thrust down towards the ground. You've got to get out of the way quickly after that one, because his point will be hanging around about there, and he can loop it up and get to you, so you have to walk off. So we're going to move through those four things. The first cut we're going to do is to your right shoulder. Okay? That's right. We're just going to get you to do that, okay, which you've done before. And then, actually, also what I'm going to be doing is the same thing, just against the cut on the other side, which we've done before. Like that. Then, we'll get you doing that side. We'll get you doing that. You don't have to finish off with the thrust, actually, for this exercise, just pass through. And then, against the thrust, we'll do stepping off that one. And then also that one. Okay?
We're not going to do the throwing.
We're not. It's not that hard to do, but it's just dangerous because we haven't got fencing masters, so I don't want to risk it. Okay, if you'd like to form into two single lines, is there, or maybe someone else would volunteer to do cutting as well, and we can get quicker lines going around. Yeah? Okay. Remember, first cut, step forward at his right shoulder. Remember, front foot out, extend the arm away from the incoming cut. Yeah? Don't hook over it like that, where it can still come down and slice you in some nasty places.
We should come to
Yeah.
the attackers.
Yeah, we'll stand here. People behind, give the person in front a bit of distance. You don't have to rush. When you cut, just simply go around the back of the line. Okay? Okay, in your own time, just start cutting. Okay. Speed it up a little now, keep control, speed it up like that. Okay, try and get the cues moving faster.
Same cut?
Yep, same. Now you're doing the same thing, but to the cut from the other side. Done this before, okay? So this time I'm going to cut from right shoulder. Okay? Cutters start from tail guard to make it clear while the cut's on.
Basically the same.
Yeah, it's the same bead, but remember, you have to go under the cut and carry it over. There were a few questions about just stick this all out. There's different people who do this ways. I can go up the shoulder edge, then roll the sword round into the back edge as I come around it. Okay? So again, so pick it up into the shoe edge, roll around, cut. And that's the same if you're, doesn't matter which side you're going to finish the cut. Okay. Okay, start. And then it was an interesting finish there rather than just kind of Anyway. Okay, now we're doing the cover. This cover, then we're going from that position into window, effectively. If you know box, positive and nesper, the same thing, one-handed. And you are going to thrust into the face from it, but not now. Don't try to meet the sword too much. Don't come out and then go, oh. Just think about this motion from there to there. If you look at the point of my sword, I'll stand away so you can actually see. The point of my sword is always outside my body. So long as you time it right, anything you make contact with there is going to end up on the outside. What, of course, is dangerous about this is people coming inside here. That's something that, as far as I can think of, Fiore doesn't deal with. Obviously, if you do come up and someone slips into a thrust down here, you can pass out like that and then thrust down. And it's actually, that's like an upside down exchange of the points. But unfortunately, Fiore doesn't show us what happens if somebody dips under. So, coming from there, smack up, their sword should be on that side. Yeah. And then, I think actually you probably should finish off with just that at the shoulder, not the face. Okay? And cutters from the right shoulder. Suddenly, Bart's queue gets longer. Again, cutters starting in tail guards, just make it clear and obvious. Okay, now, the footwork, I forgot to mention by the way. You're still stepping up the lead foot, but you're stepping the other direction this time. So, as you come up, go, boom, again, increasing the distance between your body and that block, or parry, or whatever you want to call it. Deflect. So you go up there, point at your enemy, and then you can step through. You can actually just thrust in there, but what I want you to do is step through, thrust, and just pass off and then go back to keep. Right. Okay. Passing to the right. You can't pass to the left. Right, keep the point down and raise the point down. Okay, now. Get your body away from the sword. Try and concentrate. When people are getting if you just hit my sword, a lot of people are getting it, poof, knocked in on themselves. The answer to that is if you cut at me with some power, towards my mark there, is hard, fast. Okay. Yeah? Is you're going from there, oof, into there. It's a deflect. It's not, you're not just putting the sword there to be hit. You're going whack! You're going to go whack, whack, or whatever you're going to do after that. It's a very active poof. People in my line have started realising that if they step off enough and do that, they're covered, but they don't have to make blade contact. That's preferable. Fiore calls this coverta, which just means cover. He's not saying you whack his blade. He's just saying you step out of the way and you cover yourself while you're doing it. Okay? So if you can, try and go oof, doing cover, and if your blades don't make contact, bonus. It means you can preserve your lovely edge. Cool. Now adding to that, this is Fiore's first sword technique actually, but we'll combine it into the drill. When the marks, if you just cut, just slowly. Okay, when I pass off, yeah? Doesn't matter whether I pass off more forward or more sideways. When I bring it